Hello again and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael from TOEFLresources.com. In today's video, my annual TOEFL essay templates freshly updated for 2023. In the video, I'll start by giving you a template for the integrated essay question. Then I'll give you a template for the independent essay question, which you can use until the end of July 2023. And finally, I'll give you a template for the new academic discussion question, which you can use after July 2023. If you don't know what I mean with this July stuff, don't worry. I will explain in just a moment. But first, a template for the integrated writing question. That's the first writing question on the TOEFL test. I think this essay should start with a clear and concise introduction, and you can see the template I recommend here. The first line of the introduction states what the reading and the lecture are about. And I want you to be concise here. Don't go throwing in a lot of details and numbers and stuff here. Just say something like, the reading and the lecture are about opening a franchise, are about colonizing asteroids, are about saving peregrine falcons. You see what I mean? You just want to state the main topic under discussion here. After that, state what the author of the reading does. Say something like, the author of the reading argues that colonizing asteroids is a good idea. Don't mention his supporting details. Don't mention his supporting arguments. Just state his main idea. You got plenty of room in the body paragraphs to mention his supporting stuff. After that, state what the lecturer does, clearly and concisely. The lecturer challenges the author and states that colonizing asteroids is not advantageous. Don't mention the supporting details and arguments there. And that's all you really need for the introduction. After that, you're going to get to your first body paragraph, and you can see I've got a pretty beefy template for the first body paragraph. It's got a lot of stuff going on, but I think that's kind of good. It really establishes the relationship between the sources. Anyways, start that body paragraph by stating the author's first idea. Firstly, the reading suggests, and then you're summarizing his first supporting argument. Then you're going to say something like, according to the reading, and you'll give some supporting detail that goes along with it. Then you state the relationship between the reading and the lecture. However, the lecturer challenges this idea. He notes that, and then you're summarizing the counterpoint. Furthermore, he says that, and you're giving a supporting detail. So you're making clear where the arguments are coming from and the relationship between them. And then you'll do the same thing in the second and third body paragraphs. Now, I've made the template a little more sparse here because I think that's a good approach. It'll save you time. But you're still going to write the same amount of content. So you'll start that second body paragraph with something like, second, the author argues that, and then you state the second argument from the article. Yes, you will mention a supporting detail, but I don't think you need the template sentence to introduce the supporting detail. And then same when you mention the lecturer's idea. He says that, mention the counterpoint, and then in another sentence, mention some of the supporting detail. Do the same for the third body paragraph. You don't need a conclusion. You really don't. I've never really recommended a conclusion for this task. After the third body paragraph, you're done. Now, don't use the template word for word the way I've suggested it here. Try to change it. Try to personalize it. Change some of these verbs. Change suggests. Use argues, says, claims, posits, I don't know, whatever. And then change the verb challenges to something else. Make it your own. Make it personal. But do memorize whatever you decide to use. Here's a sample essay that uses this template. I'm not going to read it, but you can pause the video if you want to check it out. You can see I've highlighted how I've used the template. In yellow, it shows how I use it to summarize the article, and in pink, it summarizes the lecture. So I've always made clear with the template where my details are coming from. That's really important. Not only does the template help you to work quickly and avoid mistakes, but it also makes it very clear for the reader where the details have come from, which details are from the article, and which details are from the lecture. Next up is a template for the independent writing task. Now, ETS is going to announce very soon that this task will be removed from the TOEFL test. It's going to be replaced with something called the Writing for Academic Discussion task. However, this task will be on the test until, I believe, July 26th. So if you're taking the test before then, you're probably going to need this template. I do recommend that you always stay up to date. Things change, right? This is supposed to be removed from the test around July 26th. That could change. Make sure you always know what's going on. Subscribe to the channel, follow my blog. I'll let you know. Anyways, I recommend a 4-paragraph essay. I start with an introduction. I'm starting the introduction with some background sentences. Something that relates to the topic being discussed, but it isn't an argument. It isn't my thesis. I find the best way to do this is just to make a generalization about what people think. Just a generalization about what people think in terms of the overall topic. So if it's about education in some way, I'll say something like, most people in the world think that getting a good education can really improve our lives. Or if it's an essay about working and careers, I might say something like I would say something like, most people in the world think that our job has a major impact on our quality of life. You see what I mean? Just a general sort of background sentence about the general topic of the essay. After that, I have my thesis statement. And I want my thesis statement to be very clear and obvious. So I'm going to start with something like, personally, I feel that, and then I state my thesis. After that, I move on. In my old templates, I always ended with a transition like, I feel this way for 2 reasons. I've decided to remove that. I've done more research. I've done more studies. I feel that sentence was useless. It wasn't really helping. So I've decided to just remove it. After that, I start my first body paragraph. I say something like, firstly, and I give my first supporting argument. Then I explain my idea in 1 or 2 sentences. And then I have a transition, something like, my own experience demonstrates what I mean. And then I give a personal example, 4 or 5 sentences long. And then I start the second body paragraph. Furthermore, and I state my second supporting argument. I explain my idea. I give a personal example. I generally recommend 2 body paragraphs, but you could definitely have 3 body paragraphs if you like, and the template's going to be pretty much the same. After my body paragraphs, I have a conclusion. I start with, in conclusion, I strongly believe that, and I restate my thesis. I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, though. I'm not going to copy it word for word from the introduction. And finally, I repeat my 2 supporting arguments. I say this is because, I repeat my first argument, and then I repeat my second argument. Once again, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. I'm not using the exact same words that I used in the body paragraphs. Here's a sample essay. I think this one comes out to about 390 words, by the way. Pause the video if you want to read it. But you can see I've used the template to have a background sentence here at the beginning, and then I introduce my thesis. I've got my body paragraphs. I even changed the template a little bit. The transition is not exactly what I showed you on the previous screen. I just want to demonstrate that it's always a good idea to personalize the templates, make them your own. And then I use the template in the conclusion. And that's it. That's a strong essay. It's got good organization thanks to the template. The template helps me work quickly. It helps me avoid getting bogged down thinking about what to write next and how to structure my essay. So whatever you use in terms of a template, try to memorize it. All right, so currently scheduled to join the TOEFL test or to replace the independent task is the academic discussion task. This is probably going to be on the test if you take it after July 26th. But as I said, please clarify like what exactly is going to be on the test. I'll put out new videos in the future, but in the meantime, take responsibility for your own TOEFL. Anyways, so for this question, I recommend beginning by clearly answering the question that's been posed. In my opinion, then you clearly answer the question. And then you're going to agree with something that one of the students said. I strongly agree with Dave's idea that, and mention something that Dave said in the discussion. And then you're going to add your own details. I'd add that, and then elaborate on something. Mention your own ideas. And then you're going to talk about the other student. Maggie raised the relevant point that, and then summarize something she said, but she didn't mention that, and then you directly challenge what Maggie said. For example, and then give more details, more of your own ideas. And then conclude by once again repeating your main point. Overall then, I'd say that, and you directly answer the question. So that's a template for the new writing task. Here's a sample. So you can see I've begun by stating my main opinion, and then I'm agreeing with something that Susan said, and then I add some of my own details. And then I'm challenging something that Alex said. I'm adding some of my details at the end. And you can see that I conclude by repeating my main point. Right now, I've kind of divided this into like 3 mini paragraphs. That's my current thinking about this task. That might change in the future, but right now, I like how this looks with the little mini paragraphs. You can see it's a lot easier to read. It might make the human reader a little more content when they check your work, but we'll see. The main point here is that the template helps to organize the ideas and structure my answer in a relevant and compelling way. All right, that's all for my templates for 2023. I will put links to website versions of these templates in the video description down below if that's easier for you to use. In the meantime, check me out at TOEFLresources.com. That is my website. I've got guides to every section of the test, and you can also sign up to have me check and evaluate your TOEFL writing practice essays. And if you really want some one-on-one lessons, you can reach me that way and we can talk about that. All right, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have a ton of videos coming out in the next few weeks, and I hope you'll be able to see them as soon as they're available. I'll leave it at that, but take care, guys, for now.